connected in real time today on the court of life, how this applies, because these are, we're talking in concepts. Your son, who you're quite proud of, that was an elite performing athlete, baseball player, is finding his footing in the professional world. And I think that there's a valuable lesson in the anecdote of, how he was able to grab the attention and get a job that, dare I say, is a dream job or something that he's really excited about. Connect the dots there.
Yeah. So, my son's journey as a kid, he's always been that charismatic kid that connected with everybody. He's always been that kid who had a natural born tenacity for treating people like humans and not being cliquey and not being, I'm too cool for you. I remember in middle school specifically, he got involved in the Best Buddies program, which is where the special needs children get paired up with mainstream kids. And he just cared about people and always smiled and said hello and just acknowledged everybody. And he's just always understood the power
Could
of
you
connection.
could you recall any again, not to get on the on the therapist couch, but because I grew up in the same house as my brother, right next door in the room next door, and we couldn't be more polar opposites. Is there something, I don't want to say an incident, is something about his natural character that has him be that way, or?
Yeah, I that's a really, really great question. And I there's so many things. I think the biggest thing about Chris is he doesn't take himself too seriously. He makes fun of himself. Like I say, he cracks himself up. And I think because of that, he's a truly humble kid who's like, it's not all about me, that
Mm,
it's about others. And I think what happened is he saw his ability to do that give him opportunity in life,
mm,
getting out of trouble with teachers, I remember distinctly one day he had a Saturday detention and I got a text message from a teacher friend who knew the teacher who was running detention, and he convinced the teacher who was running detention to let them all go outside and play dodgeball. Things like that. Just he knows how to use his natural born ability of connection to connect with others and then leverage it to see it actually benefit his life, right? But treating other people truly like a human. And so, through his high school career, a very talented baseball player, was drafted very high in the 2015 draft, was paid a very large amount of money to go play a man's game, right? To go play professional baseball. And he lived that career through a myriad of injuries, which is a whole nother podcast in its own on resilience and setbacks and all those things. But through that period of professional baseball, he did the same thing he's done his whole life, which is treat everybody like a human, be nice to everybody, be everybody's friend, connect with everybody. I even joke from the ticket takers to the concession stands to the mascots, everybody. And so fast forward when he had to retire at a very young age, he retired at the age of 25. And he decided immediately to take an opportunity to go into professional baseball representation as a Major League Baseball certified player agent. And within a couple of years, he had 2 World Series champions under his representation. And people always ask, how'd he do it? And what I know you're asking, that I promise I'm going to land my plane, is that he built the relationships before he ever needed them. And I think that's the power of relationship building. It's treating people like humans that you actually care about and
yeah,
investing them in a way that then when you do need to leverage that relationship for something that benefits you,
yeah.
you can. You have the permission. And that's really what he did. He didn't come into professional baseball representation with no experience, no knowledge, no expertise. Those things are all true. But he brought with him a decade of relationships forged in trust.
Yeah.
And that has propelled his career to your point where he's just gotten a huge new opportunity and a brand new job with one of the biggest agencies in the world. And they came after him, not necessarily came after him, but they were attracted to him because of his relationships.
It just strikes me, we can find a million phrases or cliches or quotes, but I was taught early on it's much more powerful and important to be interested
Hmm.
than interesting. And it
Correct.
sounds like he's kind of got that woven into him on the cellular level.
Correct. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because it's something that I find when I've had to really ask myself the question, why am I so good at relationships? Like, Why does it come easy to me? What is it? Because Seth, to your point, I have to reflect back in my history and like in my professional life, every community I've belonged to, in coaching communities, the real estate community, now in the speaking community, every time I come into a community within a few months, within 6 months, I'm everybody's best friend. And it's like history repeats itself. And I've got to look back and go, because I used to just say, oh, well, I'm just good at it. But no, there's more to it than that. And
Yeah.
what you just said is so true, because what I find myself doing over and over again that I didn't realize was such a principle and a foundation of why I have the success I do. It's because 9 out of 10 times I am trying to turn the conversation always onto someone else, right? They're asking about me, and it's like, okay, enough about me. And I'm always turning it around to curiosity. I call it curiosity. When you come from curiosity, it's amazing what you will learn. And it's amazing how quickly you can deepen a relationship and show someone you care and be connected to them when you come from that place of curiosity.
Yeah, and I will say this, being connected and having this interest and being curious, we our listeners, first of all, this is really great. If you could share in the comments where you've been able to establish a relationship that has surprised you way later on down the road and been able to benefit or serve others because of that relationship that you planted seeds on way before a harvesting moment happened. Just share in the in the comments, like us again, love us. Really appreciate you being in this conversation.